Okay, being 4:30, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'll ask everyone to stand and the city clerk to say the prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the city of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor. That the agenda for this meeting be approved as presented.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to number 5, reports of administrations and committees. Number 5.1, general wage adjustments, out-of-scope employees. So if I get a motion, then I'll ask for a discussion. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the City of Prince Albert out-of-scope staff, excluding out-of-scope staff at the Prince Albert Police Service and Prince Albert Fire Department, be provided with a general wage increase in the following amounts. Number 1, 0% effective January 1st, 2022. Number 2, a 3% effective January 1st, 2023. Number 3, a 2% effective August 21st, 2023. Number 4, a 3% effective January 1st, 2024. And 5, 3% effective January 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Discussion.
Tara Lennox Zepp, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Question for administration. Perhaps this question would be for the city manager. What is the rationale for not suggesting back pay? Why would we not want to pay back pay?
Save money.
It was a form of saving money.
Just a comment. I see in this motion that we're suggesting 0% for the effective January 1st of 2022, and I would hope that we would consider back pay and consider looking at that first section there. Thank you.
Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I see in the report, I guess this is a question to maybe the city manager, but Director of Corporate Services, that in the motion it says number 3, 2% effective August 21st. In the report itself on page 2 of 3, it says September 10th of 2023. Is there a reason for the difference in time?
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you for the question. So when the report was first drafted, it was planned for the September meeting. But since this special meeting was called, we were able to move it up. And so we have adjusted the implementation date to match the date of the meeting as opposed to the future meeting in September.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I guess there's a few residents that I got a call from that they're a little bit confused on if we are a part of this today. And I specifically told them that we don't get paid through this form in this way. We get paid through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. So when the Minister of Municipal Affairs, I believe, gets a raise, then we get a raise, no matter what.
Right.
And that's the way that works.
And it's
So-
equally.
and
The mayor
yes.
and the councilors, there's no difference.
So it's a third of what the minister gets, and then a third of what we get, as well as the mayor. So, just so we're clear on that and people understand how city council gets paid.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had similar questions as well from residents about my high salary and if you know, I'm getting this massive salary, why not everybody else, and how do we get that? And I explained to them, you're right, that our salary is tied to the mayor's salary, and the mayor's salary is tied to the provincial government. So we don't negotiate salaries as city councillors. And then I went on to explain. They talked about this massive increase in pay that we got. And I went on to explain that, and I took July of every year. And in July of 2017, when I was first elected, my take-home pay was $1,562.66. And in July of 2023, told them my take-home pay as a city councillor was $1,575.62. So over that 6 years, I have got a pay increase of $13.04 per month. And they didn't believe me, and I said, well, I'll take a picture of my pay stubs and send them to you. This is what I'm getting. And then I went to the public accounts and looked at all the people that make over 50,000. And there's over 500 employees in the city of Prince Albert that make more than me as a city councillor. They couldn't believe that. They thought that I'm making this massive amount of money. And I said, no, this is what our pay is, and always has been. And then they said, well, what about that big adjustment that you got? And I said, well, to the resident, well, that is what happened in 2019 when the federal government passed Bill C-54, which prevented any tax-exempt money of any politicians, meaning MPs, city councillors, reeves, etc. Prior to 2019, we got approximately 30% tax-free. So our T4 slip that we had to submit for income tax was 30% less than what we were actually making. And so my salary on T4s went from $24,000 to last year, $36,600, and I think it was 96 cents. I couldn't remember the exact amount. That's what I explained to them. So I said, when you look at it, like, there is 1 month where I actually made $1,600.12, and I told them that. And that was in 2022 when I was acting mayor, or not acting mayor, sorry, deputy mayor.
Deputy mayor.
And as deputy mayor, I have to take on extra responsibility, extra meetings, et cetera, et cetera. So for that month, all that extra time and work, I got an additional $73.96. So that's my pay. And the resident thanked me and said, I thought you guys were one of the highest paid employees. And I said, absolutely not. We are one of the lowest paid employees. There's approximately 200 employees that make less than $50,000 a year, and that would be our, playground workers, concession workers, and workers that are part-time or seasonal. And so why are you not offering, or why are you offering only 11% if you got inflation and all this stuff? And I said, well, $13.04 over 6 years doesn't count for inflation. That's not an inflationary, inflation went up a lot more than $13.04 over the course of that 6 years, so per month. So that's what I explained to them, and then they understood, and they were reasonable, and those are facts. That's not me spinning anything. Those are facts that I told them, that this is what the situation is. And so, am I happy with I'm totally happy with my salary. I'm not complaining about my salary. I'm just stating this is my salary, and this is what I am paid, and I do this job not because I want to make more money. And I'm not saying people should be happy with their salaries necessarily, or they're doing it for, people do work because they want to, or and they need to, and they're valuable, and everybody is valuable in my line of work, my former line of work. Everybody was valuable, and that's what makes a system work, or an organization work. In the case of me, a school work is the value that you place on all workers. So that's kind of piggyback off of what Councillor Miller mentioned about we don't negotiate our salaries. They are tied to what an MLA makes, and that's what the law, or that's what was decided years and years ago, and that's what we continue to do. So thank you for the time.
You're welcome. And I'll just add to that, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Head, is that I actually had to even defend all employees, just not us, all employees. Because people read the public accounts and they say, well, Greg, I'm amazed this guy gets $88,000 a year. I said, he doesn't. I said, we have to report his total salary over $50,000. I said, he only makes like 68, but the rest comes from working overtime. And I said, so that's why you can't go by the public accounts, because we can all get paid overtime. So when they look at those public accounts and they think, oh, that employee's making 88, and that's not true. That employee was only making 70-some. But they take those public accounts and they think that's what's everyone's salary, and it's not. And so I ended up defending quite a few people, just not myself. Councillor Head. Oh.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to take a few minutes, and I feel it's important that I address this motion and some of the comments that we're hearing within our community here. So I need to make a few things clear first. One, all workers deserve fair wages. All workers, whether they're managers, directors, office staff, or city councilors, you do a job, you deserve a fair wage. That is my belief. Two, I know you all think that I have a vested interest here because of my day job is with CUPE. And you also think that my opinion here is therefore worthless. That is not true. I came to work for CUPE because I discovered that I have a passion for advocating for workers. I didn't become a labor advocate because I work for CUPE. I work for CUPE because I am a labor advocate. I am a labor advocate because unless workers gather into unions, they don't have a say about their working conditions. Unless you work in a unionized workplace, chances are you don't have sick leave, you don't have benefits, you don't have a pension, and you don't have decent wages, and definitely don't have the ability to negotiate those provisions. I also need a few clarifications on this report. In this report, the Corporate Services Director indicates that the urgency of this motion is so that our out-of-scope staff receives an immediate, predictable wage increase that is not bound to delays due to strike action, because the out-of-scope staff will ultimately be relied upon to support the city through a strike to ensure services to our public are maintained. I think services to the public are best ensured by keeping the in-scope staff at work. The way this is presented makes it seem like strike is somehow unavoidable. I don't believe that it's unavoidable. And I think that instead putting all of our energies into preparing for a strike, we should be putting a lot of energy into avoiding it. Some of these out-of-scope staff have control over this impeding strike action. All they have to do is get back to the table and continue discussions.
Hey, hold it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There is no clapping, no cheering, no heckling, and I will clear the room. It does not, you're not here to cheer on it. You're here to listen. Go ahead, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report seems to be missing some information. It doesn't reflect how much the listed percentages are worth for CUPE 882. We see a comparison, but we don't see what the dollar amount is. This report shows a $1.7 million commitment today from us, but it doesn't reflect what our CUPE 882 group is in limbo about. It indicates the dollar values of the out of scope, and I want to know, and I've asked this earlier, I want to know what the 1% increase for CUPE 882 costs, because we see that in the community that this is what the division is. This is what the dispute is over, 1%. So what is the 1% today? So city manager, if you would, could you tell me what the 1% increase for CUPE 882 cost would look like, would reflect?
Okay, once you're done, she'll answer.
Because I can tell you that our 1% for our out of scope increases are $273,125. And that's based on the report that I had found. my opinion is we shouldn't be making this decision unless we have all that information. I cannot support this motion today because it's not about raises for our staff. I support raises for our staff, every one of them. But I do not support, nor do I want to play a part in labor unrest. It's destructive, it's divisive, it's put our services in jeopardy, it puts our ability to serve our public in jeopardy. All the things we rely on QP 882 members on are in jeopardy. I don't believe that we realize the full impact until it's too late. In my work as a city councilor, I rely on these people daily. I get dozens of calls from residents, and they are the ones that know how things are done, who does them, and how to fill the paperwork. This isn't just that they won't be working. It's also that I won't be able to do my job. It's also that my residents won't get the services they need, deserve, and pay taxes for. What are we doing here? Why are we actively participating in the drawing of battle lines? We are talking about 1% for our lowest paid workers. There are people we work with, these are people we work with daily. I rely on them heavily. You all rely on them heavily. And what happens after that? How do we come back from this? How do we restore morale and trust? Relationships take years to develop. You all know that I have a very long history with this corporation. I've been a city employee, I've been the union rep at the bargaining table, and I am now a city councilor. I, more than anyone else at this table, know the amount of work, time, and effort has been put into this relationship over the many years. We also know that a relationship can be destroyed in a moment. I fear that this is that moment. I will be voting on no, and I ask that you vote no with me. Not because the out-of-scope staff doesn't deserve a wage increase. They do. I wouldn't blink an eye over this under normal circumstances. But these are not normal circumstances. And this is not about a wage increase. This is a message to all QP 882 in-scope employees that we stand against them. We should be using this, what little control we have over this situation, to try to stop the damages that is about to be done. We should be urging management to return to the bargaining table and to negotiate until a deal is reached. Our job should be to keep the peace, not to pick sides in a battle which we all lose. I urge my colleagues to reject this motion as a show of our collective desire for the parties to get back together and figure this out amicably. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I will be supporting the motion. I think it's a fair agreement, just as the other offer to QP is very fair. I think it's a strong offer here and there, and I think it's time to move forward. And so I do support it. This brings our managers up to a fair area with, close to inflation. Probably doesn't match it, but it's close. I know it's more than the federal government just agreed upon. This offer is more money. And that was a Canada-wide employees. Canada-wide employees all the way from Vancouver, Montreal, St. John's, wherever, and Saskatchewan. And that offer, inflation in other provinces are significantly more. Our cost of living is a little bit less in our province. So I do believe this offer is fair for all employees within the city. And so I agree. It's time to get back to the table and settle. I do think it's time to sign an agreement on the offer that's on the table. I don't think it's unreasonable. As a matter of fact, most people believe it is very reasonable. So I do support this offer. It's something that the managers and the out-of-scope people need and in scope, but we're here to deal with out-of-scope right now. So I do support the motion. It's a very fair offer, gets them to move forward, and it helps us keep employees. Thank you.
Okay, I see no one else in the queue, so I'm going to prompt the question.
Tara Lennox up. Just a point of information, were we receiving the answer to the question from Councillor Head?
Oh, do you know what that is? She doesn't have that number. Okay, so I'm proceeding. It is now, the vote's now open. Counselor Zepp?
Opposed.
Am I missing one? Yep, vote carries 7-2. Thank you. Counselor Kilmer? Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. I'll just prompt a question. Questions now open. Counselor Zepp?
In favor.
Okay, carried, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.